right, I've got 6:30, so I'll go ahead and call to order this meeting of the Conservation Commission for March 7th, 2022. All members are present, so we won't ask any alternates to fill in as voting members tonight. I don't see any members of the public here for public comment. Oh, there is one. There's a member of the public behind Dave. I'm sorry.
Hi.
Were you here for public comment on a?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's the microphone?
We'll make a space for you.
Yeah.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw you when I walked in. I just need to focus on something else.
Well,
If you would just state your name and address for the record.
Yep. My name's Savannah Valier, and I live at 35 Tinker Road.
And what were you here to talk to us about tonight?
There's a several acre piece of burning bush infestation in the Horse Hill Nature Preserve. It looks to be, could be at least 10 years old. It looks like it's been unmanaged for quite some time, so I'm looking to see what I can do to be involved in getting rid of it or help manage it. And there's a bunch of other invasives everywhere, but that's, I'm one person, so.
I was going to say, you haven't been to Wasserman lately, have you?
I've only been through Wasserman once. We
Go in the
just
fall
moved here in
sometime.
February of 2021, so, thanks.
You Samantha or Savannah?
Savannah.
Yeah, we've got a bumper crop of burning bush, unfortunately, across the street too, from Horse Hill or at Wasserman. I don't know what we, it's something we've tried to manage a couple different ways. We've talked about different things, goats, spray.
I called Cooperative Extension a couple weeks ago, and I just never got a call back, and I just kind of fell off the radar. I'll call them again.
I don't even know, have we determined even what is the best time of year to deal with burning bush?
Well, you can see them good in the fall.
Yeah, you can see them. Yeah, you see great in the fall.
Yeah.
I know that at the Horse Hill Subcommittee, and by the way, I would love to pass your information on to the Horse Hill Subcommittee group that concentrates on that region. Thank you for bringing this up. We were talking about the multiflora rose. That's going to be the priority this spring because that's a better time to deal with it. But we definitely we'd love to work with anyone who wants to be involved in that.
Absolutely.
While we don't have a plan right now for that, we definitely welcome.
I'll
welcome
make
your
sure
help.
anyone who needs to know knows how to find me, so.
Thank you.
So if you cut it repeatedly, like several years in a row, I mean, do the roots still take?
So at the November 30th meeting of Horse Hill, Tim Adams said that he did his research and found that basically, you just cut it and then you keep cutting it year after year after year, and eventually the roots will be extinguished. It's a brute force method, but it's apparently the best way to do it. And I don't remember if it was Horse Hill he was talking about, but he has said before that the method of just cutting it every single year after year after year does eventually, it has had success in other places.
What do you do with the cuttings?
I'm not sure.
Because it's not like knotweed. There's a little tiny piece of it hits the ground, it's going to grow again. I don't want to drop berries, or I don't want to just cut them and leave them there because that's how they spread anyway. So the birds eat the berries and then they go poop, and now it's a great fertilized little mound of new burning bush happening.
You can't move them.
Can you shred them?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know if we can. That's what I'm saying. I just want to make sure we can do something with this. We have to drag them out or wherever.
I don't have experience personally removing burning bush. I have removed stinging nettle before. I don't know if it's how comparable the two are. Well, yeah, even with gloves, it still gets through. But but I just had I just uprooted them and put them in a trash bag. I haven't seen the long-term results of it, but
You're not supposed to bring them to the dump.
I haven't seen
know if we
exactly
brought
what
them
you're
to
talking
dump.
about, but think of Wasserman. You're not putting that in a trash bag.
No.
You're gonna need the truck down there and haul that stuff out.
The last I heard, you could not remove it from site. That was the problem.
Has to be non-viable
For burning bush.
by state law.
Any invasive. I mean, maybe what we need to do is get somebody in
it's
here from
Yeah.
the
Right.
Hampshire Co-op.
I'll follow
the
up.
UNH
I'll
Co-op.
follow up with UNH. Find out how you can remove it, because if it's just leaving it there is fine. If it's not gonna continue to propagate and be a food source, because that's how it propagates for the most part.
Well, if we're gonna end up in the big room, then maybe what we wanna do is invite all the subcoms in and someone from UNH that's very knowledgeable,
That'd be
and
great.
have a big,
We don't need to-
Invasive species workshop.
we don't need to wait for that. We can, I mean, the cooperative extension, they'll come out and do presentations on this and stuff like that. They'll do it anyways. We can just schedule a weekend, have people open event.
Savannah, if you'd be kind enough to give me your email before you leave, you can just write it
Yeah.
down here. I'd be happy to let Mark
Absolutely.
Gagnon know. He's the head of the subcommittee for Horse Hill.
Anyone else? Anything for Savannah? Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, I mean, could
Tell
I
us about-
observe and?
Oh, yeah,
You can
absolutely.
stay.
Should I roll back that way, or?
Yeah, I guess if you want to roll back, but
Yeah, yeah.
you're not going to hurt our feelings if you
That's
if you leave either.
yeah.
Hold on a second. Did you move here from,
Nashville.
oh, so you're in the area?
Yeah,
Okay, so you're doing,
yes.
okay.
Thank you.
The no other public comment. We don't have any public hearings scheduled. Appointments. We do have one housekeeping matter from our last meeting, and that is Kirk Ware, who came and spoke to us last month about joining the Horse Hills Subcommittee. Someone like to make a motion?
I've never made a motion before. I don't know how to do this. I'd like to make a oh, you got a
Gene's gonna help.
boilerplate?
You were doing fine. Just keep rolling.
Okay.
Motion
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Kirk Ware as a full member of the Horse Hill Nature Preserve for a term to expire on July 31st, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Eric, seconded by Gage. Any further discussion needed? No? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. And Eric, none of us were prepared to sharpshoot you if you didn't get that exactly right anyhow.
Just makes it easier for Stephanie if everything's worded a certain way.
So no statutory advisory business for tonight. It is a lean agenda. We kept this meeting on the docket because it was the only one, really. We had postponed the second March meeting. But I thought for sure we would have some item, but we don't. So that takes us to new business. The first, or the only item under new business is and this is just a proposal. But the community development team has noticed, they watch all these meetings, of course, because they help us with the minutes and everything else. There are certainly some compelling reasons why we would use Matthew Thornton room next door. We can't use it on the first and third Mondays of every month because those are the days of the month the school board traditionally uses them. Among those compelling reasons are there's better audio visual support over there, especially if we have a presenter that wants to hook to those things and have them be available not to just us in the room, but to those watching on Merrimack Public TV. And in general, the audio quality is better in that room. It does accommodate a bigger crowd. Not that we typically have enormous crowds for our meetings.
I was gonna say, wow.
We have a crowd of one tonight, so we're close to sold out. In fact, we are sold out. There's only one chair over there. But those are just some of the reasons. This was feedback that we received that made a lot of sense. I did look at the schedule for this year. I don't, if it's something we agree to do, and maybe there's compelling reasons why we do these in this room. I'm not aware of what those would be, and I couldn't think of what they would be. But really, throughout, if we were to make that kind of a change in May and go to second and fourth Mondays of the month, really, we don't have a problem until we get to Columbus Day, holiday for some. I don't know if town offices are open that day. I'd have to further research that, I guess, because that would be on the second Monday of October, that would be on the 10th. And it would put us having a meeting on December 22nd, but typically we never have that second meeting in December anyhow, so I don't know that I'd consider that a conflict. Anyone have thoughts, feedback?
We have one, it's the Greater Woods one we have on the alternate Monday there, so we just have to change, a couple of the subcommittees may have to change,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not, I don't think that would really be a big deal.
I don't know the history why we ended up in this room to begin with.
Well, when this started, there wasn't a Matthew Thornton on it. That was the way it was.
That's a good reason.
It was more of a, like this,
Mm-hmm.
the tables up front. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Well, I mean, just personally, I'd rather stay in this room because I think it's better for communicating with this group. Just when, there's a lot of us and we were sitting back there, at least the last time we were in there, I think people over here didn't necessarily know what was going on over here, and over there we aren't going to notice if people don't have their microphone on as easily. But,
Well, Justin will be at the back.
They blast you with the red light, though, don't they?
Well, over there, you have the window, and Justin,
Yes.
whoever's
Oh.
running that audio-visual, they'll wave out the window if you're like me,
Oh,
talking
no.
without your mic on, they'll wave at you.
Steve, according to the town calendar, there's nothing noted on October 10th, so if town hall were closed, they'd have something up.
And I just don't, certainly if someone's got feedback, I don't know if some people align their home or work schedules or childcare or any of those things with these meetings, if it would be problematic.
Cindy's comment is the only one
Yeah.
the rest of the days I don't care, but this has always been a very communal,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
that one,
I agree with
but the town council holds the meetings up there and they have conversations and they do just fine. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's just us being, we're used to this or,
Stubborn.
yeah, being Yankees, maybe.
I mean, being on the town council, I have meetings there and here. I'm indifferent. It wouldn't matter to me one way or the other, so.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree. I think you can have good communications up there. At the same time, there's nothing wrong with the setting either, so.
Mm-hmm.
Unless somebody had strong feelings one way or the other, I could go either way.
So this was a request by community development?
It was not just feedback. They said the quality, the quality of the audio, the ability, their ability to take, transpose these meetings into minutes and notes. The sound quality is much better in that room.
There was a comment, this is going back a while, after they first built the room, than the way it is now, of having to staff both rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was a long time ago, but I don't know if that's still an issue. Just having there's a certain amount of people that have to come down and set all this up and keep all the equipment up, versus keeping it up in one room.
No, you're right. By having the meeting on the same night as the school board, typically you end up having one person that's covering both
Right.
Mm-hmm.
for the audio
Splitting
visual.
duties.
Which is exactly what happens.
Which if we do it on the alternate week, then you wouldn't have that person covering, two things on Merrimack TV at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
May make their lives a little bit easier. It's a really good point.
I don't know. We wouldn't want to change anything real soon, just because we certainly have. Well, we don't have another meeting in March. We have a meeting April 4th and 18th. Could we make that sort of adjustment in May? If we don't like it for some reason, if it loses the intimacy of this setting or the, the collaborative value of this setting, we could always go back. There certainly is value to people presenting in front of us, to have
So-
those sorts of things.
Is the fourth Monday in May, is that Memorial Day?
No, there's 5 Mondays in May this year, so it would be the 13th and 27th. No, I'm sorry, I'm looking at June. The 9th and the 23rd. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, in May it would be the 9th and the 23rd, June the 13th and 27th. July we only have the one meeting anyhow. So I guess what I
Well,
would,
that means July you could have two.
we could,
Yeah, because you could go 11th, 25. Because right now, the reason we only have one in July is because
oh, because it
it's
straddles.
the 4th.
The 4th.
Is the first Monday.
That's our annual meeting. It usually goes a little longer anyhow. And our first August meeting would be the 8th. So if we did July 11th,
You could also have 2 in September then, too.
Yeah, I mean, if we need them, I mean, we typically get a little bit of a slowdown in the middle of summer, so if we don't have an agenda, we can postpone a meeting.
and if we have an item of urgent need, we can always convene a special meeting or do a non-public if it fits those parameters or something like that.
It would make more sense to start in April because the third Monday is Easter. And we'll be meeting the 29th of March, so it's pretty close if we met as scheduled on the 4th. That'd be less than a week.
Why don't I do this? Why don't I update this with a proposed date? I won't do anything for April just because we can come back if someone has heartburn or finds a problem with one of these, we can talk about it on April 4th. And otherwise, going forward, I'll email this out this week though with the proposed.
So proposing to start in May,
Mm-hmm.
going to the 2nd and 4th Mondays.
Correct.
So we'll put it on the agenda for
For the 4th.
April 4th.
I've
and
got this on my
If we
computer.
need to vote on it, then we will.
Do we-
Is this
really
something
need
we-
to- I don't think.
I don't think we've ever
All right.
voted on it.
Okay.
Let's see, we picked this as a convenience for us now, so.
Mhm. All right, moving on, takes us to old business. The first item we have is the 22nd Annual Seedling Giveaway, which is May 7th. That feels early this year. May 8th is Mother's Day this year?
Probably.
Do we have to touch base with Dave, or is he already, it's just this long-standing agreement we get to,
With Jeff,
Jeff?
yes, I communicate with him,
Okay.
You're talking about Curry Orchards?
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So well, I guess not, I don't think that email went out to everyone. The seedlings got ordered a little late again, so we've got, I don't know exactly what was ordered, what wasn't. I know I saw her email that it was ordered
Mhm.
late. But we have, and we voted on this, I think, a couple of times. I think it's probably just something we need to make sure we follow through on is when we're giving someone a project, they're the ones that are allowed to sign for the checks. They can sign, they can make the adjustments and within the parameters of our vote. So I think that we just need to make sure that when we sign people, we don't have, like, that check waited for you to sign for a couple of weeks because they didn't get to you, and then a lot of extra stuff got delayed on it, so the order got put in late, unfortunately. So I'm not sure what we're gonna get this year for what we said we wanted to order versus what we're gonna get is gonna be
We're
two
going
different
to
things. maybe.
get 1,200 black walnut
Yeah.
trees.
No.
I purposely did not put in any alternates.
Mhm.
I was like, if we don't have stuff,
Those
just
are always
just
left over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
just give us the money back, 'cause and there are some other seedling, not seedlings, but flower and just give away. I've been trying to find some other things that we can do, so if we get some money back, maybe we can find something else to supplement it.
Yeah, what would they'll replace it or propose substitutes?
So what's supposed to happen is you put a list of what you want, and then if you can't get that, here's your alternate.
Mhm.
But they're expecting people to come in, they're expecting you to come in and do like, oh, I want 3 of these and 4 of these and 6 of these, and if I can't get it, I'll do this. They don't expect someone, or they weren't normally expecting someone like us to come saying, okay, we want 75 of these, 80 of those, 100 of these, and we want 16 of these, all these different varieties. So when you say, okay, the alternates are the same things that you can get on the other, because we end up running out of
Right.
options. And I'm not gonna spend money for white pine. It just doesn't, it's not really a valuable tool for us, so, if they're out of stuff, there's really just no alternate, because the things that we're either not, getting stuff that we want, or things that just historically don't sell, or don't, not sell, but don't get we end up having to plant ourselves, so. But, so I'm gonna look and see if there's some other venues or something we can get some other plants, but I have to get with the nurseries to see what we're actually getting. Because her comment was, some of this is already out, so I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
I'm sure it's pussy willows, because that's the one thing we never can get.
Mhm.
Those are the first things to go. So,
Just keep in mind, so that day is
fast approaching.
fast approaching. Yeah, so for those who don't have plans that weekend, and for those who have never been to one, it's probably it's our biggest
It's fun.
event of the year. It's usually highly attended.
Half hour before opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 2 years ago, it was like Black Friday or something. They stormed the door, did they? But a lot of fun. So if you don't have plans for May 7th, pencil it in on your
I'm
calendar.
gonna try to keep that same process.
The outdoor one?
Hmm.
That worked well.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit away from that sense of community that we're striving to have, but
Yeah.
we'll see. If people wanna poke, or maybe, I don't know, we'll have to see what the rates are like when we get closer to it.
Yeah. I guess it's been 2 years since we've done it in the building, hasn't it?
At least, yeah. At least.
Yeah.
Has it only been 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 years ago, we were in the building.
Yep. All right, well, we could cross that bridge when we come
Mhm.
to it.
Let's see, next item, request for Flying Eagles to mark trees they plan to cut. Who wants to talk about this?
Yeah, I can. So the subcommittees would just like the Scalar Waterfront Park Subcommittee, after watching, the town council meeting with the Flying Eagles. So there are a couple of concerns. And one is, if they could, it's a request. We know we can't control their cut, that's town property, but a request to mark the trees so we can see what they're cutting and how much they're cutting. And also maybe if they did that, they wouldn't cut as much. Well, we'll see, right? And the other request, which is, we just want to make it clear, if like Steve, you or I could just call them and make it clear to them that they're not to cut on the other side of the road, on the Scalar side, on the south side of the road.
Do we know when they plan to cut?
I was down there yesterday, and somebody was out there with a weed whack on the back, and then it sounded like somebody was firing up a chainsaw.
The best way to find out that schedule is talk to Paul, because when they came in front of the town council, there was some requirements, some insurance requirements that they had to meet before they could do anything. I don't know, and that was to get with Paul and make sure that the insurance piece was taken care of. So the best thing to do is talk to Paul and find out exactly where they're at in the final stages of that approval.
Is this being done by a subcontractor or doing it themselves?
So there's a process where they can do some of it themselves, but they have to obtain the insurance, they have to indemnify the town, they have to get all of that taken care of and submitted to the town for approval
Okay.
before they could do it themselves, or they have to go hire a contractor to do it.
So if a contractor would do it, they'll have to file an intent to cut?
Intend to cut with who?
Intent to cut?
Yeah,
If a contractor's coming in to do it, they'll have to file an intent to cut to make sure that.
To file that with who, the town?
Well, yeah, they file it with the community development office.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to
Okay.
that. I'm assuming if that's a standard process, then yes.
Yeah, because that's usually especially if they're doing anything for profit.
And I think the contractor piece was some of the bigger trees,
Right.
they plan on contracting out. Some of the smaller saplings, I think they plan on doing themselves. But before they can operate a chainsaw on town property, they gotta do the insurance piece.
And
I-
so sorry.
It's-
I've seen a couple different contractors down there. I've seen a couple different contractors down there with the flag club looking at the big trees and things like that. So I know they're aggressively looking to get the stuff done.
so.
Yeah.
But, go ahead.
Do we have the long-term plan? Are they gonna drop and leave it?
Yeah, they just want to cut and, they're just gonna slash and drop everything.
All right, so they're not making any logging roads and dragging
No.
stuff out?
No, in fact, strategically, some of the bigger trees, there were some requests to potentially fall over roads to eliminate some ATV folks out there. They were gonna try to accommodate some of those
But
requests.
that's not doing us a favor, though.
No, it's not, it's on a back road.
But they were asked to do it, so
Yeah.
that-
Who asked them?
I did.
But I mean, yeah, if they're cutting a tree, we like to see it a blocking the tree, but.
Right,
Right.
but most
don't
of
cut
it's
a
not
tree
in that area.
Because we want to block it. It's-
No, what I'm saying is they're gonna leave the tree blocking the trail because they were asked to leave the tree to
Yes,
block the trail.
that's true.
Yes.
All right, then we heard they're cutting and just dropping. Or we're gonna line it so it can be a border. So that's the plan. It's not to clean up anything, it's just
Okay,
to
good.
cut it and drop it. That's my understanding.
Are they supposed to chip up the brush, I think?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, like, if we could like make a few requests of them, like, you know, what are you cutting? And could you chip up the brush? You know,
One thing would be
Right.
nice to see if we could possibly get a copy of the lease,
We have a copy of the lease.
because I haven't seen it. I know people have been looking for
Oh,
it.
that, okay, but no, I mean.
Right, it's a flight club lease that we're looking for,
Oh.
and nobody can find it.
I would think they'd have to have
Well, that's what I was
that.
wondering, somebody could reach out to them, whoever the liaison is for the flight club, reach out and ask them for a copy of it. You know, in the meeting they have with the town, they talked about the maintenance they do. They do an awesome job
Yeah.
inside the perimeter.
Yeah,
They do
they
an
do.
awesome job, it looks great, but outside they don't do anything. They have all the trees growing in the roads, I was down there cutting all the brush out of the road. You know, as you go in there on the left, that was all growing into the road. As you come around the corner, all the trees were growing over the bridge into the road. I had to cut all that stuff back.
Start over.
So. Yeah, that's what I was saying. But it's
So-
just, and if you go down the northern end of the boundary with their fences, the fence is completely dilapidated on the back. So in my eyes, they really haven't maintained anything in the exterior. And they said they've been maintaining, well, how'd the trees get so tall? I mean, you top trees as they're growing. I mean, I do that with my bushes to hedge them out and things like that. So they have done no maintenance for 30 years. And now they're looking to come in and slash everything and put it back to the way it was, 30 years ago. Whatever, it's just, I'd like to see a copy of the lease to see what they're responsible for.
I can ask Stephanie. They might have one in community development.
It's just, we've all talked about it, trying to find it so we can understand.
Okay.
It's not our area, we understand that, but just so we have an idea of what the responsibilities are down there.
and
Understood.
Steve, if we have like a couple of requests, we should, as
Consolidating.
representing,
Mhm.
the Conservation Commission, so it's like a step above the subcommittee. Maybe they'll listen a
Yeah.
little more.
Yeah, let me see if I can nail down the dates and where they're at with that approval process with the insurance and so forth, and put some of these requests together.
Yeah. I mean, I think if these requests don't violate the approval that the town council gave, I don't know why they wouldn't honor that. I think you could probably go to Paul and say, hey, the commission is requesting X, Y, and Z. And as long as it's still within the spirit of the approval of the town council. And to be honest with you, after, listening to the flight club for a couple times in front of the town council, I'd be surprised if they wouldn't want to work with you. They don't seem like they're there to do their own thing and only their own thing. They seem like a group of guys that are taking care of a piece of property to enhance their hobby, and I'd be really surprised if they wouldn't honor whatever request that the Conservation Commission had.
They've been very supportive in the past.
Yeah.
Cleanup days and things like that. They've been a very conscious and easy group to work with.
Yeah.
It seemed like they're a partner down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, very
Yeah.
much so.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
much so.
Even cooked us hot dogs.
They did. They made us hamburgers and hot dogs at cleanup day. They grilled a whole bunch of stuff for people.
It's awesome.
Okay, I've got-
Yeah, so
I've got a couple of action items on my list then.
can you copy me on that? Make sure.
So long-term, this is something we have to take up with the town council, but we've got, like with the school, we have a memo of understanding with the property surrounding the school. we maintain it as part of Greater Woods. So long-term, it may be worthwhile and may be easier for town council if we can identify the sections of property down there that we want to maintain as a single area. And then we can work directly with whoever, we can make the plans, and then we can present a single consolidated plan to the town council for their approval. And they don't have to go all this back and forth of who to go talk to and bounce it around. Because we do that in other parcels.
It'd be nice to see
Yeah.
the wording of that with the
Sure.
school.
Yeah.
Anything else on that?
No?
Next item, Mike, you asked for these two, Merrimack Hike Club update and storage.
All right, it's getting to the season where we're gonna schedule hikes again. Obviously, winter's been kind of funny with the snow and mud and stuff. My back has been bad too, so, one day I can't walk and the other I can, so it's hard to schedule something. Just for, if you sign up for something and they keep canceling, then they're gonna stop signing up. And that's not what I want. So I'm hoping to make the hike club a subcommittee to have more organization and guides, and in the event that someone gets injured like me and can't continue it, it doesn't just disappear. I want it to continue past me. So, doesn't need no money, no fund, just needs official status.
I know in the past it's been mentioned before, for the subcommittees, like to sponsor, like to each do a walk. I mean, it doesn't have to be every week or every other week, or, one subcommittee could do one month and another subcommittee could do it on their property the next month, during the, 8 good months of the year. And so a subcommittee only has to do it twice,
Make a subcommittee, put a person from each other subcommittee on it.
No, well, I'm talking about the, Greater Woods Subcommittee would would do their walk. The Wildcat Falls would do their walk, et cetera. The subcommittee-
Wildcat talked about it, they don't want to do it.
They don't want to do it?
Yeah, we did try this in the past, where all the subcommittees were gonna do that, and it just never happened. There is, I can't remember what it is now, there are clubs out there. What are they? I don't know, Google clubs or something, I can't think of what it's called anymore. It's not Google, but I was on one before, and they had a lot of hikes, like Tim Adams he has his own group that he does hikes in Horse Hill a lot, but.
Kind of like you have your Facebook thing or whatever, right? Your hike club.
Yeah. And so, if there's these other people doing it, right, that none of us know about except you.
Well, I don't even think I'm on
Well, I'm
it
not saying
anymore.
they don't exist.
But
I'm
you
just
could
saying
go.
I don't know. I never heard of them. But
You could
if
sign
they
up
exist,
for
then we
it.
can kind of reach out to them and say, hey, you can get on the subcommittee. We can all coordinate all these people together and make it into something organized and one spot where people can say, hey, there's a hike going on at this time, this place. Let's go. Instead of looking at 7 different places.
Is there a need? Is
I
there a
think so.
public looking for this?
Yeah, so quite a few people have attended our hikes when we have them.
Okay, I'm not familiar, so.
In the beginning, they did. The
Yeah,
last
and
several
then-
hikes, very few people attended.
Okay, so
Pandemic
interest
picked up.
waned off.
Very, very
Okay.
substantially.
That's my thing, it's what's driving it. Public interest, it would be driving it. There'd be people here clamoring to get it going and all that stuff. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of public interest in it because, I don't know, I hike every day. So, Mike's hikes, we all hike, but do we want to set up for a weekend to do that? Because most people go away on weekends and things like that. So just,
I guess what's the goal too? Is it to orient people who have never visited the parcel to visit the parcel? And,
Yeah, it's
or is
to
it-
expose
is it
the
a scheduling
public.
exercise?
Expose the public to the different parcels, kind of direct them away from Wildcat and this and that to, you know, better manage the flow of people, educate them on the history of the property, what's there, the plants. Was my goal.
But that's
So-
not what really happened, though, because what ended up happening, because I was with you on all but one of those hikes, and we just walked. So,
Well-
and I went and I got a little microphone thing, and people said they couldn't hear me even with that, so everybody wants something different. So it just got to the point where we could not, we would need to have a hike we had some older hikers that could not do the hikes that the more advanced hikers could do. So we needed to do several different types of hikes for people. I mean, this
Yeah.
is something that it's not one size fits all.
Yeah, so if we have one or two guides, one is half broken, it's not gonna work out.
So where do we go from here? Is it a recruiting thing, do you think?
It's
Do you have guides in
definitely-
mind?
I've tried to recruit people. I put out notices. It just,
Mhm.
I've had a couple interesting comments of people liking the properties, they're hiking, you know, they're hiking, and then you have people like, this isn't a hike, this is a walk. And I'm along that same ilk. I mean, you know, I can go and hike in Greater Woods, you know, I'm gone for a couple hours and really just kind of a walk outside. It's not really a hike. You think of a hike, you think of, you know, up, you know, Falling Walls Trail or something like that, you know, you're hiking, so we may need to really identify the skill level, you know, back to your comment, the skill level that's required to, because there isn't much, you know, wear boots when it's muddy, you can wear sneakers the rest of the time.
Mhm.
It's not really a hike.
You'd be surprised, though, some people
Oh.
expecting this nice leisurely walk,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they have to walk up these hills
Yep.
and stuff. To the
Well, that's
woods.
what I'm saying, you have to really identify, and even depending on where you go, you take someone in Gilmore Hill, you're just gonna go strolling around, you're not really gonna go up hills. You're gonna go,
yeah. So that's on one of our hikes.
yeah,
Yeah, two old ladies.
yep, that's what I'm saying, you just have to identify the skill level of
Yes.
what
Elderly
you're
ladies.
expecting.
Yes.
You know, and maybe that might be why you have people not showing up, because they're like, I don't know if this is really what I wanna do. Or if you say a hike, people are expecting to be, you know, oh, I brought my cramp, I brought all my stuff, and they get there like, going for a walk, you know?
Well, it seems more middle-aged people are showing up than anybody. So it's not something we want to climb a mountain. Not that we have those here.
So I guess where do we want to, where are you suggesting we go with this? Do we start with a brochure to see if there's interest?
That would require
A
money.
flyer, a schedule? No, it can be, we can post something on our.
Your Facebook barrage.
Mhm.
You have over 400 people on that Facebook page, Mike.
Now,
Does it start with a date? And we kind of, like some of the things we've heard about, we define, you know, this is for beginners, this is the length, this is, put
I
a date
wanna-
on the calendar?
what I suggest is the commission take control of the Facebook page and create a subcommittee.
That's not going to happen,
Why?
because we've already beat this horse to death.
But is there work involved in
The
that?
commission does not want a Facebook page.
Is there money involved in creating a
There
subcommittee?
is not, over half of the people on this commission are not on Facebook. What is the point? They're not going to get on Facebook to make you happy. So, we have a website.
And
We
we
have a
struggle to
website.
maintain that.
Right.
We really, for 3 years now, we've tried to get someone to take the reins of that.
Well, Mike was offered the opportunity, Tim was going to train him, and he said that he would do it, and then that didn't happen. So, they're not going to start a Facebook page. It's not going to happen.
Both Litchfield and Hudson have one.
It doesn't matter if they have
Just
one.
because they're not on Facebook
We're
doesn't
not
mean that there's
Litchfield and
not
Hudson. We are
a
Merrimack.
tool.
We are Merrimack.
It's a tool to reach
Okay,
out to
I'm
more
done with
people.
this.
It's meetup groups, that's what I was trying to find.
Meetup groups?
They're meetup groups. Like somebody, years ago, one of my friends invited me to go on a hike with, you know, the group she was involved with. And they tell you everything, the skill level, the duration, you know.
Elevation change, things like that.
Well, I don't know about that, but.
Well, no, I mean, but I'm not kidding. I mean,
Well, I mean, they don't, I don't know if they word it like
Yeah.
that, though, but they do say, yeah, this is difficult, whatever. I mean, that was years ago, but I assume they're still out there. And the ones that I went on, they had a lot of people show up, and they'd go to different places, but they gave you all the information, and I don't know if that's what Tim Adams, if he leads through the meetup group or something else, but I know he at least used to lead a lot of hikes, but I think we just don't have the volunteers to try and set up a separate, you know. I mean, we still have Wasserman, we have the new, I don't know why I'm blanking, I'm tired.
Fields Farm?
Yes, thank you. Fields Farm that we have, you know, we have subcommittees for that. I just don't think we have enough volunteers that somebody's gonna sign up for this, especially if it's every month or twice a month or, like, that's just my feelings.
You're out probably more than any of us. When you encounter groups on our trails, they're usually members of another group, aren't they?
Sometimes you'll see like, you know, a bunch of women just are getting together, or a bunch of guys getting together, or couples, or, you know, but I don't see huge groups, you know, maybe 6, yeah, or something, you know.
The Sunday morning walk group. My wife
Yeah.
does one of those.
Yeah.
You know, when they go and
Is
they
it-
find different places to go walk and all this
Yeah.
type of stuff. Usually
And-
revolves around a Dunkin' Donuts though.
Yeah. The Dunkin' Donuts walk group. Not that this, you know.
Yeah, no, I think it's great.
That's who I encountered. I think the group that sat up across from us last weekend, they go out on our properties, but they're
Church
really.
group?
They're from St. James, right?
Yeah. They probably have their church thing.
But I don't know. Do we discuss that, or you have other ideas, or?
It's just
Like
right
the
now.
subcommittee, no one here is saying no to a subcommittee. It's just I don't see anyone jumping to take the reins of subcommittee, and I don't know how many. If it's you, it's you. Then
I will find all the members for it. I'll find all the members. I'll do all the work.
it's not hard. It is hard. It takes members. It takes a charter.
Takes time.
It takes time. It takes commitment. I personally don't feel like I have the bandwidth to do any of those 3 things.
You know, if you go to sign up for something, to volunteer your time, and that's not a registered with the state, doesn't have insurance, doesn't have government, whatever, a committee of any sort, it's just an individual running it, are you gonna volunteer your time with that? No. You're gonna go to some other group that has more reputation, more backing. I can't think of the word. So that's what I believe is keeping the recruitment down. It just,
because there's now a formal subcommittee form.
it's not a formal thing at all. It's a Facebook page right now.
Okay. Well, I don't think you need to have a subcommittee to have a formal group. You can get a single group of
And
people.
I think people are doing this almost on their own anyway.
Yeah.
What you really need is you need people who know the trails, who are interesting on their hikes, and who put accurate information out for the posts so that people, when they get there at 10 o'clock, it's that day, because we've had people show up and they said, oh, wrong day. So, I mean, and I had asked to be made an admin on that page, and you never made me an admin, so I could never correct any of the mistakes that I found. So I think that you need to have accuracy, interesting walks. You know, you need to know the history of these properties, you need to know where you're going. You can't just walk. So, that's boring.
I do remember a couple times, a lot of times, 3 years in a row now, we've put a lot of time and intensity and enthusiasm into planning the Midnight Snowshoe Walk.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And Mother Nature has thwarted every ounce of energy you poured into that.
Yes, we've
That's
given up
true.
on that.
Yeah, not to open a wound or anything, but
Given up on
it does,
that.
you can do a tremendous amount of planning and resourcing and coordinating and recruiting. You had sizable audiences for that, but if it rains on the day of the walk, or doesn't snow in the winter.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, that was one thing we didn't do this year, was the transit walk with Moosewood.
Mm-hmm.
But just because of what was going on, I just didn't bother to even try to bring it up.
And that was always well attended. Yeah, it was just,
Yeah.
See, that's an interesting walk. That
Mhm.
teaches people something. I mean, we would go out, Mike, and we would walk. That's all we do. So, and I mean, I don't know the trails well. You really only know Scalar well. So we really don't have anything to offer people. So if you want to get a subcommittee together, just make sure that people know what they're doing, because we don't want people to get hurt. You should have at least 2 people who know what they're doing on each of the walks. But I don't think that what we were offering was something that was high interest level for people. It's just not worth their time. So,
well, that was some good discussion. Anything else on? No? Mike, this next item was yours too. Merrimack storage.
All right, who here has gone to the closet?
Just saw your picture.
Any of you accidentally grabbed some historical documents that are stored there? That's where they keep historical documents too. It's not organized properly. At the very least, we should be marking what's ours. It's just a closet full of random people's stuff. Eventually, we're gonna start having things go missing. And the tools being propped up in the corner by the door, not acceptable. It's just, that's gonna go missing too. And it's not right to be cluttering up community development. You know, I can imagine if it's out of sight, that's fine, but right by their main door is, you know.
It's not cluttering up community development, that's their business.
Well, I'm just saying that the storage is inadequate. Very inadequate. I was expecting some sort of a room, closet that doesn't have everyone else's stuff in it,
did you get what you needed for the Winter Carnival?
pretty much.
Did you return what you took?
I'm doing that tomorrow. But it's just, it's not good. I wouldn't put anything in there.
Did Stephanie know where the stuff was when you went?
She wasn't there, it was some other person.
Okay, well, I went, Stephanie knew, so maybe what you need to do next time is coordinate with Stephanie, because I told her where everything was. I showed her where everything was. Ellen was there with me, she knew where everything was. So if you had asked one of us, we would have been happy to tell you.
I got the stuff just fine. But my point is the storage is not acceptable.
To you.
And our stuff is gonna get stolen.
It's not gonna get stolen. How's it gonna get stolen? You have to get buzzed in there.
It's not, Mark. There's junk in there. There's a TV or a computer from 40 years ago in there.
And there's a
Eventually
Christmas
they're gonna
tree in the
clean it out. It's
ladies'
gonna
room.
go.
There's a Christmas tree in the ladies' room, too. This is community development. This is just the way that it is.
I think at this point, I'm just speaking for one person in this commission. I'm appreciative that they let us use that,
I am
just because
too.
I think it's a decent barometer of whether we actually even need tools or a storage area.
Right?
And you've demonstrated there was one need. You've been in there once. Has anyone else taken anything out of the storage area?
Well, what's gonna be stored there? There's
I
no
would-
room in the closet, and there's a corner for tools. I'm not gonna put anything valuable.
If
right
we
there.
overrun that, then I think we
Just
talk
keep
about a
filling up my
bigger
shed.
place.
Just keep filling up my shed.
Keep filling up your shed. You don't even know what's in there.
No more boxes, that's for sure.
Mhm.
That's it.
All right. Anything else? Anyone? All right, the next item was the feedback on the 2022 Winter Carnival. This was an event we almost didn't participate in this year. I thank you, Mike, for you were the one that had the enthusiasm for doing this, and Mike went and got us all set up there. Mother Nature came through in a big way. It was well attended. There were a lot of people out there. I wouldn't begin to guess how many. Gage
Yep.
was there, but it was fantastic. It was just good for those who haven't been, and I know Cindy and Gene have done this, carried this project along in years past, but it really is a great way to connect with just residents and even non-residents. Just tell them about the parcels. A lot of questions, got a lot of great feedback we collected about, what people liked. I enjoyed asking people how they felt about trail signing, just because I know some of you are so passionate about whether it's not enough signing or whether we've gotten to the point where it's the Vegas Strip. So it was interesting. We got a lot of decent feedback on that. A lot of people didn't realize, even simple things, that it's a great venue because you're there at Wasserman. You can talk to people, hey, by the way, adjacent to this Park and Recs parcel is 85 acres of additional town property that you can walk. And oh, by the way, if you head out that way, you can cross over into Horse Hills. I mean, it's just a great, these are great resources we have in Merrimack.
Yeah.
So it was a fabulous opportunity. Time well spent. Thank you for motivating us to get out there and communicate. And do you have anything to either?
Matt's, I want to congratulate Matt, Kasparius. He's done a great job. That was, I don't know, the first couple of years we went there, we were inside that one room and it's 25, 30 people trying to show 25, 30 people everything. And it's considerably different now. It's a real event. He's done, Parks and Rec's done a great job.
The town rallied in a big way too, because there was a threat of this being canceled. It snowed right before the event, but it was fabulous.
It was perfect.
They plowed it out. They shoveled
Beautiful day.
Threw the tables out and cleared underneath them all. They even kept a DPW 938 on site to show the kids, let them play on the yellow iron down there. It was it was fantastic. It was really well done, and I couldn't believe the number of children sledding down that hill there too. It was well attended.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hundreds, definitely.
My kids were little. We slid down that hill.
Yep.
Yeah.
I took pictures of the kids sliding down the hill and sent it to my children and said, "You should be here."
That's cruel.
It was rather mean-spirited, but it was fantastic. So that was the feedback on that. Scalar, the last item I have on under old business is our Scalar site visit, which is scheduled for Tuesday, the 29th. At 10 a.m. I have Garrett Grasscamp, whose title is he's the coordinator for the statewide public boat ramp access program. He's going to be there along with Commissioner Ray Green, who's the Hillsborough County Commissioner. We've talked to DPW about this, but I'll reach out to them again. And they're, I guess, Engage, Mike, maybe you guys have done this before. I'm kind of new to doing a site visit. I guess it's not really a meeting, but there'll be enough of us there. There'll be a quorum and something we'll have to keep minutes and so forth. I guess what I was kind of envisioning is having them come at 10. We'll be on hand. Some of us will be. I understand not everyone will be able to make it, but we can kind of tackle that boat ramp piece first.
Yeah, keep them separate, yeah.
Keep them separate, kind of deal with that, and then afterwards, that probably only take 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30, and then we can kind of do some of those, hear about the site plan and so forth from whoever's on site there. I think just as a matter of process, the only real motion we should make there is to adjourn, and we will need to make that. I think if we have other, decisions that need to be made as a result of that site visit, certainly I'm not saying we don't deal with those, but probably the better way to deal with those is at the next meeting where we can, where it's on the agenda, and we can welcome anyone that, commissioners that weren't there after, who couldn't be there, or members of the public who want to speak, have it on the agenda, deal with it where we can properly record minutes and so forth.
Yep.
I mean, if there are specific items that we want to cover, like the boat ramp,
Mhm.
I mean, we can put an agenda together and say that, we're going to discuss these actual items, so
Yeah.
we all make sure that that's there, and then whatever else we find,
I
we
think
can bring up
Gina
and
is
put on the
doing
agenda
that.
for the next meeting.
Mhm.
And you're agendaing what we're doing that day.
Ellen, are you planning on going to that? Okay, so what we'll do, because you and I will take minutes together. The most important thing is going to be making sure that we have everybody's name, the correct spelling of them, and their address, so that we can give this to Stephanie. We'll type up what we can type up. We should only have the motion to adjourn, really. And we need to make sure we have the times. And then we're going to give it to Stephanie, and she'll do it on the letterhead. And those will be the minutes. They don't need to be super extravagant.
I wouldn't underestimate the time either, like with the boat ramp and with both of those things, and looking at the property and stuff.
Right.
Might take some time.
About 2 hours.
Yeah, and the only reason I thought we probably should tackle in that order is, one, because we've asked
Yeah.
the county commissioner doesn't travel a long way, but Garrett obviously travels from the Concord office. Anyone from DPW, rather, just to be respectful of everyone's time who's actually being paid by a taxpayer, I thought it probably made sense to deal with that item first, and then we have unlimited time.
Shift focus.
Anyone else? Ideas on the Scalar site visit? Andy, do you think there's anyone else from the town other than DPW, other than Kyle, that I should invite to this?
I have one, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I think Kyle's your gateway to anybody in the town that may be interested, or anybody that he wants to get involved. So I definitely have him as your point of contact.
Oh, this is just more of a question, not a suggestion, but like, since the boat ramp it's town property, should Matt Kasparius be involved with it at all? You know, like.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really fall under Parks and Rec.
Right.
Let's try to keep it small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fewer the people, the better.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's town property and Kyle's there, I think you're covered from the town side.
Yeah.
All right. Nothing else? All right, that brings us to other business. Are there any subcommittee updates?
Well, this is for the Horse Hill Subcommittee. I've notified them of Kirk's confirmation. Thank you very much. We met recently, and there was one question about boundary marking. I don't have the precise spot, but several members of the subcommittee were concerned about an area that goes up against Farmer Road and Foster Road. Apparently, there is a private trail being used, if not formally constructed, and there was some concern about whether our property lines are properly marked. I don't know how to verify that. I assume there's a map that is authoritative, but we'd like to know the next step to determine exactly where our property is so that it can be posted before this becomes so habitually used that it gets harder.
So do you want to know how we marked boundaries in the past?
Yeah, short of standing there with a BB gun, yeah.
So we try to do it in the summer when you have full leaf out. And you go from, we get trees as close to the boundary as we can, but not anything that's over. So sometimes our boundaries are a little inside of our boundaries.
Yep.
And you put the marker on the tree and you make sure you can see the next marker.
Okay.
And then we just keep going down the line.
Because apparently the signs are available. Mark of the subcommittee said signs were available. He just didn't want to put them up without first checking to make sure we had the authority to do that.
We're not really all that critical about being able to read them upside down or backwards. It's just which way the arrow's pointing. So if the boundary's this way, you put the sign up with the arrow this way on the other side of the tree, and we have to go the other way and still get the arrow going.
Okay. I will let him know.
Really technical.
Yeah. I will let him know. Apparently, this has been an informally used one for a while, but not very long, so
No,
we
and
want to nip it in the bud.
Mark's got my email, and I have signs and nails, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And that was about it for action items. Other than that, the commission, or the subcommittee is, meeting periodically.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And Scalar, we met, I can't remember when. It was recent, because we've been meeting every 2 weeks. So the property plan is going pretty good. We'll have something to present when we do the walk on the 29th. We reconfirmed that we did have a vote sometime 6 months ago to move some rocks to block the off-roaders, so that'll get done eventually. We talked about the Flying Eagles plan, which we discussed here. And besides the invasive problem, which we very much like to take care of, we also have that historical bridge, which we'd like to do some sort of restoration. There's some graffiti on it.
What do you mean by restoration?
Well, there's graffiti on it. The ramp on one side is washed away. DPW dumped a bunch of dirt there when they brought their machine on it to dig out the underneath the bridge. So it just, you know.
'Cause we're not trying to use it again for anything other than foot traffic, right?
Yeah, it's just,
Okay.
it's pretty much a footbridge,
Yeah.
a wide one.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think we requested the 8 yards of 2-inch rock. I want to put that at the front of it as we walk up to it, and then in the back of it, we want to put a couple borders on the side. Try to keep, like, all this dirt basically the town put is washed away with the last rising flood we had. So if we put the 2-inch rock, I was talking to Mark Tominski about this. And he says-
Twidarski.
Huh?
Twidarski.
About the size of the rock, and he says 2-inch would be about the best. So I think we put a request in for like 8 yards of it. We could dump it down there, and that way we're gonna have a work weekend coming up. We're gonna start doing some nice stuff down there. Wanna clear from the road, and you're looking down Natticook to the river. I wanna clear all that out. Get all rid of the stuff that's crawling in there and this and that, so you get a nice view. Right there with the bridges, let's get rid of all that invasive stuff there. Because it crawls up and it crawls into the road. So we can clean all that up, it's gonna look nice down there.
When is the work weekend? Is it?
We haven't decided yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll decide on the, at our next meeting.
So Dave, is the request with the town to supply the stone? Is that,
I don't know, I was reading the write-up about it, it
Um,
says the request,
so
You-
do we check with the town and then, and if they don't, we're gonna ask the Conservation Commission
who
to?
asked the town for the rock?
Right.
Who does?
One of us would have to do
Mhm.
that.
Those goes.
We can do it. I don't
Yeah,
think
I
we've
can-
done it. I think that's what we're.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
we
I
just
can,
talked about this at the meeting, but,
yeah, I can do it if you want.
well, I don't care who does it, just,
Are you gonna have a work day and have people move 8 yards of rock? Or are you
No, I'm
trying to
gonna
have,
do it.
are you gonna have the town just kind of dump it?
Well, dump
where-
it down near where it needs
Okay.
to be, and that way I can 5 bucket it around.
So
And Mark
Five
Twidarski
buckets.
has a.
I think we,
You can
bucket
move 8
loader.
yards of rock with a 5-gallon bucket?
Not in a day.
No, you're not in a day.
I think we talked about asking the town to do it, and if the town wouldn't do it, then we request monies from the Conservation Commission.
Yeah.
It's
But
pretty
like,
cheap stuff.
we may not use all 8 there.
Yeah.
You know, if we use 2 there, 3 there, 4 there, fine, then we can find other use for it, you know, in the areas that wash out frequently.
I guess that's why I asked when the work day was. Is it before the 29th or?
No.
No.
um, So we meet next week, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We meet next week. Stephanie has asked us to make a regular schedule of sorts. Probably asked everyone.
Yeah.
So we'll go back to 1 month instead of every other week. So we'll discuss what day at that meeting.
Yeah, but we get the supplies down there, it's something like you just, pick on each day, get it done.
The big thing is to get boulders down there.
Well, we have rock down there that we can move. You know, I talked with Mark is concerned about the berm, the big rocks up there. But we need to take those rocks from there and use them in different places. So we have rock that we can use to block things right now. Mark was afraid that people are gonna drive up over the berm, but they would only drive up over the berm to go into the woods area that we're blocking off with the rocks. So sort of a moot point about the rocks right here. And Mike actually talked about bringing that berm down a little bit so people could sit in the car and look at the river.
It's an artificial berm. When they plowed that area to make that parking area whenever they did that 20 years ago. They made that bank right there. So
How do you know that?
I was talking to Bob LaHour.
LaRue. Bob
LaRue.
LaRue? Well,
yeah, but removing those rocks from that berm will lead to some sort of ATV activity over it, but it will prevent full-size vehicles and Jeeps from going into the woods and creating more damage than they already have.
Right, the
So-
Jeeps- The Jeeps are still going in
Yeah, right now.
on
and
the left.
It's making the ruts deeper and deeper, and
Right.
it's just gonna be more work for us in the end. So we gotta stop it.
What we need to do is put a date down, either rent some equipment to move the rocks, or get the town to move the rocks. So that's at the point where we're at right now.
We don't have big rocks though, do we?
No, we got big rocks down there.
There are some big
Oh, yeah.
rocks.
but we want more.
Because they just keep moving it, or it gets spread out to the point they can drive over it with some mud stacked next to it. So, that's what we're doing. Who is reaching out to DPW for the rocks?
So I think I just volunteered to do that. I thought somebody else was doing
No,
it.
I mean
at
not
meeting.
the smaller rocks, the bigger rocks to get transportation.
The
big
so
rocks.
I'm talking about the 8 yards of stone.
Yeah.
I just volunteered to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering about the
The
boulders.
big rocks, I thought,
I was going to, but I was reading the minutes and it said that you were gonna do that.
the big boulders?
You were gonna go and talk to somebody about big bowls. You and I talked about it, I was gonna
Yeah.
go talk to Laurie about it, and then I read
Yes.
the meeting minutes and said you were gonna do it, so I was confused.
I'm confused.
Do we know where there are big
Well-
rocks? Because that's how we've been successful in the
Yeah.
past.
Right, and
Is
it's-
we've seen, someone has seen a development, we've pounced on it at the right time.
Yeah, so Dave, the other Dave, said he
Dave
had.
Webb.
Yeah, Dave Webb.
He has
Yeah.
rocks in his yard, he
Yes,
says,
so
they're
we,
good sized rocks.
so we need to get the town to look at those.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Would you-
Tom was
would
talking
you do
about
that?
his rocks, but it's over a septic system, so we don't want to take anything
Yeah,
over
no.
the septic system.
Right, but just, right.
But the
what-
Dave Webb one.
The Dave Webb says he has some that are accessible, so if we could get the town to look at those and see if they
Yeah.
can get them, would you do that?
Of course it would.
Okay.
The problem is transportation to get them, and
So we've had some
So-
support from the town in the past. If we give them a couple locations and they can make a full truckload of them, they'll go get them all and dump them once, but they don't want to be going back and forth
Right.
over multiple days.
Well,
So
it's
they've-
just,
They've been supportive of the fact that if you can give us, get us a couple locations and there's rock there and we can get it all in one fell swoop, we'll get them all and then dump them all. But
the
they
only
don't-
concern is, the size of the
The-
truck one under the.
Right,
hood.
well, they're very familiar with what they can get over
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so once we have confirmation that we have their support in this, then we'll reach out to the public or something. We'll discuss it at our meeting, and
Well,
we'll go from there.
So, you know,
You and me wanna go over to Dave's house? Take a look at what he
yeah,
has?
we should take a look. And you know what, this request of them getting the boulders and the 8 yards of stone, we should do that at the same time.
Yeah.
Whatever they feel is
You know.
reasonable, but if you and I wanna go take a
So we
look
don't
at
bother.
Dave's yard, we can talk to Dave, say, hey, can we come over and take a look, take a couple of pictures?
Yes.
Now we with working knowledge of what
We should
they
do
have.
that. Yeah,
So-
we should do that.
You don't work, do you?
No, I'm home most of the time. So, but he won't be home until the weekend.
Right, but we can ask Dave, hey, do you mind if we
Yeah.
crawl over your house to take a look
Yeah,
at the rock?
ask him to describe,
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's say go for it.
sure.
Now, which one
Okay,
of you
cool.
are reaching out to DPW for the rock and
Um,
the transportation?
I'll reach out to DPW and talk to Laurie.
For both the small rock and the big rock?
We should probably do the two
Did you guys
requests
really
together.
have a
I'll-
subcommittee
I'll take
meeting?
care of it.
Yeah. if
Or are you
if
having it
if
now?
you don't- And if you're, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, I don't mind doing it either.
I don't want,
That stuff.
Okay.
I don't want both of you to go to DPW for,
That's why I said we should
Separate
probably do
things,
both
Right,
requests.
so I'll work with her next
Okay.
week,
yeah,
All right.
getting that done.
All right, anything
Alright,
else
one
from
person.
Scalar?
and that's it.
Any other subcommittees?
No.
No. All right, presentation of the minutes.
I will make a motion to approve the Merrimack Conservation Commission meeting minutes dated February 7th, 2022, with changes as follows.
Second?
Motion by Gina, second by Cindy. Who wants to go first?
Okay, so I'm gonna explain something that I don't think everybody knows lately, is since Stephanie started doing the minutes, she sends them to Stephen, to myself, and we read them then, and I give her any changes that I have. So I won't be coming into a meeting with any changes. So you guys are on your own.
I didn't have any changes.
Okay.
You could just approve them as is then.
I looked at them, I didn't find anything.
Okay, well, wanted to see if anybody else came up with
It's
anything.
like what, are you leaving certain little breadcrumbs in there for us to find? Just to see?
I wouldn't do that to you, Gage.
Is there a second to your motion?
Cindy.
I
Once you
did-
two are done with doing them, we've never had any, no one ever found anything else.
No.
If you two are happy with it, I'm good.
Yeah.
No, Mike's found stuff before, and Alan's found stuff, and Steven's found stuff, and
I continue to not find stuff.
Gage has found, you've found stuff. You just don't remember it.
No one else?
Didn't
All
didn't
right.
find anything this time.
All in favor of approving the minutes? Say aye. Motion carries 7-0. And there's still one member of the public. No further comments? Thank you for sticking it out. Commissioner comments. We'll start with Ellen this time. Nothing? Cindy? Mike?
Yeah, so I spent some of that money that was for the signs, for the cedar, and I know Scalar's going to have probably a few signs coming up, and he's out of cedar now. So I'm just going to let you know, I'm going to pick up some more cedar. I don't need any more money appropriated because I still have, and I'm still in budget, but so I'm going to pick up some more cedar.
And he's told you he still has a willingness to.
You're right, I
crank
copied
out
you, I
more
think, on the
signs,
first
yeah.
email, yeah. Yeah, he's very nice about it. And just a comment, sometimes just, just more and more traffic on our properties, and I see Greater Woods the most because I live there. And sometimes just, I see a difference in just having a marker where a trail intersects another trail, I see more traffic on those trails, just people being more comfortable. You know, because, oh, that is the trail there on the other side, or, you know, or they know the sign, oh, where does this go? You know, without it being too much. I don't think it's too much. Have you been out there? Yeah.
The only place where we get a lot, we get comments, I think, is we get the trail markers. And when there's no leaf, you see trail markers all up, and you're like,
Yeah.
not really sure where to get that, because I can see markers. Especially on the bike trails, they kind of wind.
Yeah.
And it's, unless there's footprints in front of you, it gets a little,
In the wintertime
yeah.
is the hardest,
Yeah.
because you can't see the trail.
You can't see the trail, but you can see lots of markers.
Yes, and on the bike trails, yes,
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. And like millipede, I know that the trails, I couldn't even stay on that trail in the wintertime. Now I can, most of the time, with the markers, but still, it comes so close together that
Yeah.
you can see markers on the other side.
Right.
And I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Mud season is here. I'm sure Gage will have more to add about that. Bears, going to be waking up pretty soon. And the birds, migrating started. You're going to see a lot of red-winged blackbirds in your yard, and they eat all the food. So you're probably going to need to put your bird feeders away before the bears wake up anyway, because otherwise the blackbirds are going to eat it all. That's it.
Thank you, Sheena. I only had one note. Thank you, Mike and Gage. Got out and did the duck boxes and got the 4 duck box. The 4 we had left up on which
all-
pond? Not.
On Lastoka Pond and Long Pond.
Did you put a couple more up?
Yep,
Oh,
they're all up. The only one we have left is the one you have for
Would you
display.
like that?
No,
Do we need it?
it's not going up now.
What?
No.
Okay.
And it was a
I'm not-
great static display at the Winter Carnival.
I'm not walking out on those ponds now.
Okay, it's there if you need it.
No, I mean, well, keep finishing your comments, because I got,
That was my only comment, but thank you for doing. Dave, all set? Mike?
Member of the public posted on Facebook about erosion at Wildcat. I think it's the same guy that mentioned it back in October. So, just past the power lines, he said. I don't know where. So, that's all.
I do have like some comparison photos of the erosion at Wildcat that I took last year and the year before. So, yeah, I could, if there are any new pictures, I could look at them and see how they compare. But that's all I have to add.
Thank you. Gage?
yeah, so, thank you, Gina, mud season. It's definitely mud season, if anyone's been out there. We've, in the past, spent a lot of time trying to close trails only to see footprints going right past them, so only the people that are like us and like-minded are gonna stay off the trails, so we just wanna remind everyone, when it's muddy, just walk on the street for a couple more days, and hopefully we'll get some sunny weather and it'll firm back up, but please stay off the trails when they're muddy. Duck boxes, we got them all up, so we are out of duck boxes, minus the one we have for display. We don't really go through that many that fast unless we have new property we want to put them up. So I was not planning on buying any more for now. Is that unless anyone has or wants to have any more up? Good, so we don't need any?
Scalar, maybe? There's a lot of ducks there in that river.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you get a lot of river-based wood ducks.
I have no idea.
No, they like water, ponds, but, yeah, and we, obviously, we can look at, if there's, that's, that's part of the thing. If we have wood duck boxes, but if there's other animals that we're trying to attract, if you have, we've been in contact with a number of people that build all sorts of different bird houses. So we can find structure to support whatever. Pollinators, I mean, they build houses for bees, to attract bees, wild bees. So there's all sorts of different pollination and support mechanisms for all these critters. If you have anything that we need, let me know, we'll see if we can find it, and because we usually get pretty good discounts on it, we try to buy it through a Conservation Commission. So, that's it, I'm good.
Andy? Nothing? Eric? No.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Gina, second by Gage.
Oh, wow.
All in favor? All right. Meeting adjourned.
Not 8 yet.
7:52.
Dave, I'll send Dave Webb an email and copy you.
Okay.